Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I begin in the name of Allah, the most kind, the most merciful. It's due to that kindness and mercy that we have these opportunities where we gather in remembrance and glorification of Him Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Habib ibn Madahir was instructed by Imam Hussain on the day of Ashura to say what? To go and tell them that it's time for Salah. Let us break for Salah. Yeah? And what was the response that they gave? They said, tell Hussein that he can pray as much as he wants, his salah will not be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ajib, these Musliman. Right? How could they have forgotten? Because they didn't know, they didn't accept the transaction with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They still viewed it as their lives. Right? And so one of the points of reflection that you and I have to consider during these months of Azah is, are we prepared to accept the transaction with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Honest to God, that's the question, right? The fact that I can still do things which are haram in my day-to-day life means that I still feel that this is my life, right? And the moment I begin to stop doing the things that God has said is haram, that means then I'm closer to accepting that transaction with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Because at the end of the day, we need to always remember, my brothers and sisters, that as believers, there is no middle ground for us. There is no middle ground. We are either Husseini or we are Yazidi. Yeah? There's no middle ground. There's absolutely no middle ground, right? And again, like we had mentioned this in the Wafat of Muslim bin Aqil, but the very beautiful statement that serves as the mantra for our lives, inshallah, is when Abu Abdullah alayhi salam was being forced to give allegiance to the governor of Medina. And he replies back and he says, Ya ayyuhal amir, inna ahlu baytin nubuwa, wa ma'adinur risala, wa mukhtalaful malaika. He says that we are the house of the Prophet. We are where Risala came down. Yeah? We are where the angels used to come and visit. Bina fatahallah wa bina khatamallah. That God began everything with us and God will end everything with us. Right? He says, wa Yazid rajulun fasiq sharibul khamr mu'linun bifisq. Yeah? Wa mithli la yubaya' mithlah. Yeah? This is that line, this is the line that till today whenever I read gives me goosebumps. But it's that demarcation that I'm talking about, where he says, people like me do not give allegiance to people like him. Right? There is no middle ground, my brothers and sisters. Right? When I do something Allah wants me to do, I am being Husseini. When I am doing something Allah doesn't want me to do, I am being Yazidi. Right? And then it's hypocritical that I will cry for Hussein, honest to God. Right? Because while I'm crying for Hussein, I am physically supporting the killer of Hussein. You understand the gravity of what is happening? Sometimes we look at certain people in history and call them munafiq ta, this ta. Baba, have I looked at myself carefully? Right? Have I, honest to God, looked at myself carefully? I don't think that we're not Yazidi permanently, right? And even if I look within my heart and find out that I'm Yazidi, consider that a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because I was able to find that out now rather than finding that out on the Day of Judgment, right? If I can find that out now, I can correct myself to be like Hussein alayhi salam. It's not late. When you gauge yourselves, when you look within your hearts and you find moments of nifaq, moments of hypocrisy, a mu'min will use that moment to become better, right? Not to ignore that and continue down that path. So I don't think that we are permanently Yazidi. I don't think we're permanently Husseini yet. I think we teeter back and forth on this, right? But even if I teeter back and forth, know this, that when I die, I'm either going to be Husseini or Yazidi. There is no middle spot back then, right? And so we have to be very careful how we approach this month and how we are preparing for this month. So the last thing that I want to leave us with, right, is just the way when we say that we fast, there are levels of fasting. there are levels to preparing ourselves for Muharram. Okay? And I think the more we prepare, the more Husseini we will become. The first level would be, just as in fasting, the physical entrance into Muharram. Right? So in fasting, the physical fast would be not eating, not drinking, not doing those 10 Muharramats. Right? Likewise with Muharram, the physical entry into Muharram would be to attend majalis. Right? Would be to do azah, to cry, to lament, to beat our chests, to do all of these things that we do. If I do these things, will I feel a benefit? Yeah, you'll feel a benefit, right? Because there is blessing in just being in the presence where the dhikr of Imam alayhi salam is happening, right? There's no doubt, right? But we've been doing that for long enough now, yeah? Some of us are, mashallah, in our 60s and 70s. We've been attending majalis since we were 5. We should be amazing mu'mineen by now, amazing mu'mineen, right? But the fact that we're not, it means that I'm constantly stuck in the physical preparation for Muharram. We need to go to a higher level, and that is where the spiritual connection to Muharram, where I begin to make certain sacrifices for the sake of Aba Abdullah alayhi salam's mission. Hussein sacrificed everything. What can I sacrifice for Imam al-Hussein? Right? Am I willing to sacrifice my money to continue the azah of Imam al-Hussein? Am I willing to sacrifice my time by volunteering where azah of Imam al-Hussein is happening? Right? Am I willing to clean the mosque afterwards? Am I willing to leave aside haram acts for the sake of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam? Right? What am I willing to sacrifice? Because whatever I sacrifice for Hussein alayhi salam will come back to me from Aba Abdullah. Yeah, he will be my wasila, there is no doubt. But the more I sacrifice, the more I will rise in rank. Right? Many of us do this. It's quite amazing. Many of us will stop listening to music in the month of Muharram and Safar. Khair. Yeah? I'm not going to knock the hypocrisy. Yeah? But khair. But what does that tell you? It tells you that you can do it, isn't it? Yeah? If you can avoid it, that means you can do it. Many of us will not watch TV during Muharram and Safar. Right? Many of us will not watch movies in Muharram and Safar. I'm not saying you have to do these things. Right? No one tells us we have to do these things. But the fact that I can do it, it shows me the power of my soul. And my soul can truly accomplish whatever it is that it wants to accomplish. And so, where am I willing to sacrifice for Imam al-Hussein? And that's that higher level that we need to start tapping into. And then once we engage ourselves in the spiritual connection with Imam al-Hussein, we get into that final, the third and the most elevated position. I would call it the Nurani connection with Imam al-Hussein. Enlightened connection with Imam al-Hussein, where because of my physical and spiritual preparation, I become the ambassador of Imam al-Hussein. Yeah? I am the living, breathing, carrying the message of Imam al-Hussein in my life. That's what Hussein alayhi salam wants from us, right? It's to be his ambassadors. But we can't be that if we're not spiritually and physically connected to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. And it's important that we work towards these goals, and if we do, inshaAllah, we will find that we will truly have an amazing period of azah. It will be one that will change our lives, and it will take us to a better position with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.